which is the neighborhood association that is located on Council Crest. And I'm here to speak about primarily about the number 51 bus, but in more general terms about the challenges of cutting back the service. First off, a little bit of history. We have been trying to get our bus line connected with Hillsdale for some years now, and have been working with Trimet to try to create some through connections. So, for example, I literally live just up the hill here, but for me to get here from my house, I have to go downtown. It would take me over an hour to get here. So it's very difficult to have local bus routes that end in a cul-de-sac. And one of the unfortunate side effects of that is that it tends to reduce ridership because there is no benefit of transit riders coming from other neighborhoods. And when you then add that into the situation we have today, where we're all on a budget crunch and we need to look at which lines are more efficient, those lines that are cul-de-sac lines, such as the number 51 and the number 18 would be another example, and there are, I'm sure, many more. We end up coming up at this short end of the stick. So one of the things that I would like to plead for is that we look at these routes and try to figure out how we can provide both better service by making them more connectable, but also hopefully make them more useful and increase the ridership. So, for example, the number 55, which was another bus route that was slated for elimination, would be one that we would normally be able to connect with, and it might be a very useful extension of the 51 and allow you to run a bus line from downtown over Council Crest to Hillsdale, and then perhaps back out by way of Capitol Highway, and then bring another bus the other direction and go back over the hill that way. But I will leave that to your planning staff, who probably know that part of their business better than I do. But I think there's a second point we would like to make as well, and that is when trying to reduce service on our overall city network, it seems to many of us that it is maybe not an unfair way of going about it to look at the actual cost per ride. In other words, looking at the ridership per particular ride. However, the difficulty with that is that what we're really trying to do in the long run, and we've done a pretty good job in Portland of this, is transform people's attitudes about using the bus. So if we have to reduce service, it would be our hope that Trimet would look to reduce service on an equal basis. In other words, cut down the frequency, but don't eliminate service in certain areas. That just forces us back into our cars. And we've had 20 years of trying to get people weaned off cars. Now to have lines eliminated on the weekends entirely or eliminated completely in the evening means that we have no alternative but to go back to cars. And if you look to your sister companies around the country who are trying just now to introduce bus service into their communities, you, I'm sure, recognize what a difficult task it is and a multi-decade task it is to get people to think the way we do in Portland about bus service. And the answer is not to reduce bus service dramatically in specific areas, but to try to maintain some net of service. And so, for example, it is proposed that and I use this only not because 51 is special, but it happens to be a bus line that I know, that the evening service will be cut. And looking at the ridership, I certainly understand why Trimet would want to do that. But I would propose to you that it would be far more effective to cut all but the last bus, so that at least there is an opportunity for people to still use and have a way to get home in the evening. But yes, reduce the frequency, but maintain the service in some capacity. That way you keep people continuing to use the bus and knowing that they can rely on bus service as a means of getting to and fro, even if it's not as convenient as it was. So I guess my short my plea is don't simply rely on the ridership per line. That is a formula for essentially eliminating lines, and it reverses your long-term gains in terms of weaning us off the automobile and getting to become steady bus riders. Thank you.
Thank you.